Hola, hi. My name is Karen Aline. This is Rhythm and Wine. Today I'm going to be sharing some of the foundations that I have used that help me with my whining to be able to do different variations. So I'm going to project. I'm not shouting. I just want to make sure that the sound is clear. Yeah, that allow me to do different expressions of this movement and keep my balance and just allow me to play with the beat more. Okay? So, okay, as always, this is literally my journey through this dance discipline and what has worked with my body and my structure. I try my best to give as many variations as possible so you can explore for you, but that is always the intention. Please explore what works for you. And if it feels really awkward when I say I do this, my pelvis tilt, then find what works for you. All right, so the first thing that I had to get used to was my feet placement and how I distribute my weight on my feet and this like grounding thing I was doing. So I was really like pressing into the floor opposed to pressing away from the floor, which made it harder. And when I press into, it makes it harder for me to like be mobile, right? So I had to learn to like, even if I'm here, I'm pressing away from the floor. So that if I'm doing this and I decide I want to like, let's say, do a turn, it's easier for me to do so. But I did have to work on my feet placement, which is also I had to be mindful of like my ankle rotation, like how I stepped. I usually step like from the inside to the outside, like so. And I had to really like, as I'm walking, I have to be more mindful. I don't have to be. I like to be more mindful of how I'm stepping because it just helps me when I dance. So that is always the first thing I start with, is just playing with my feet. And you can even do this with music, you know, doing like a up, down, it stretches the ankles, and this instep as well. You can even go like, oh, I'm gonna go up on the balls and see what happens. Immediately, my feet start to kind of splay a little bit. That's because how I walk, I am working on that, but you can keep going up, down, little lifts. You don't have to go up here. It could just be little lifts to see what your ankles do. And that helps you also if you're doing a wind down to know what happens with your feet. So that is foundation one, and some variations that you can use. You can do one at a time, put some music on and go for it. The next thing I was more mindful of was my knees. So as I wind down, for example, even if I'm not going all the way to the floor, sometimes I do have like a slight bend in my knees, which is nice, which is really nice. But then I also found that I was very tippy. So I would go down and then either be leaning really forward, which very tippy. I have fallen many times, which is okay. If you fall, you'll catch yourself. But I have actually been like, oh, shit. So I also worked on, so the knees, I found the knees and the hips came into play for me. So I worked on like almost like sitting back a little bit. And then it also travels all the way up the back, relaxing the shoulders. So if I'm winding here, and sorry, also pelvis tilt. So I'm winding here, I just have more control, more stability. If I'm winding more forward, which is nothing wrong, there's nothing wrong. But then it makes it harder for me to do other playful things. Whereas if I have more stability, then if I want to transition from winding with a slight bend to going all the way down, it's much easier. I don't have to correct in between. That's all. So knee placement, kind of being over the toes, or looking at your body and seeing if you're leaning forward. If you can come back a little bit, and then you'll go right down to like feet placement, because you'll feel like, oh, my toes lift or whatever. So you just keep playing with that. I talked about in my previous video when I was showing a specific move, pelvis tilt. This radius is going to be different for everybody. I have this curvature, and again, if I'm coming down from that place, I don't have the alignment in my spine and the stability to play. So I tuck my pelvis in and come down so, which I'm like, let me show. Like this, okay? That doesn't only apply if you're winding down. It actually applies for me when even if I'm going like side to side, like so, keeping my pelvis tucked, that means I can do something like this. It just helps me be able to like play with the rhythm fully. Yes, knees, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees. What is this? Waist, back, and neck. The next foundation I had to really work on and continue to every time I dance is my upper body, because we're moving the middle, so it affects everything below and everything above. The release in my shoulders and my neck. I had to really like, I would be, going to work, and I'd be practicing just like letting my neck hang and letting it hang all the way back, because I found I was holding my neck a lot when I was whining, and then it just created a lot of tension in my shoulders and in my back. I'm sure some like kinesiologist or someone who is more familiar with like muscle tone and structure would know what that is, but I just found that for me it was not working. So I had to bring my neck and my back, my alignment of spine into play, which started from the ground up. So I started my feet, my knees, even if I'm doing a slight bend, so pelvis tilt, and then my shoulders and back. And it's not like a hard correction. This isn't about like forcing things in. I'm being very gentle with myself as I move. That is extremely important to me, is to just relax into this, actually. And I learned that from doing the opposite, trying to force a structure, a posture, without exploring actually what my body wants to do. So the shoulders, you can keep looping back. Again, put on a song and just, even one shoulder at a time, bring it forward. And if you have any injury, any challenges in this area, keep it very gentle, very gentle. Sometimes you could do a full body, even just twisting gently. If you're like, moving shoulders is not nice, it doesn't feel good, you can just twist gently. This helps too, to stand and twist, because then you work on your balance, your knees. If you're like clenching in your knees, you can work on your pelvis tilt right away. And then just relaxing the shoulders. Sometimes just relaxing them helps. And my neck comes into play because I look where I'm going. And that has helped me connect the two. I can look straight and whine or whatever, but my neck is relaxed. I'm not holding it. Okay, so even if I'm doing something, so see, it's automatic now for me to turn and look, because it just helps stretch everything. So yeah, from the feet to the knees, to the waist, back, shoulders, neck. These are kind of the basic things I've been paying attention to. I won't say basic, but the things I have been paying attention to when I whine, to allow me more play with the rhythm. And if you want to see how I do that, please head on over to Instagram at rhythmandwine44. I'll put it in the description, and you can see like how I play with how I dance with the rhythm and what happens from ground to feet.